So, what in the world does the smell of smoke have to do with the heart of heaven? We're about to jump into a single, really powerful vision from the book of Revelation. It's packed with angels, incense, and a pretty profound message about how our world connects with the divine. Let's dive right in.
And here it is. This is the verse we're focusing on from Revelation chapter 8. You've got an angel standing before God, and this smoke from incense is rising up, and it's mixed with the prayers of believers. I mean, it's a beautiful, kind of mysterious image, right? But what does it actually mean? What is really happening here? See, this isn't just some poetic language. This one verse is like a key that unlocks one of the most important ideas in the entire Bible, the idea of atonement. If you can understand what's going on right here, you're understanding the very heart of heaven's relationship with all of humanity. So let's unlock this thing.
Okay, first things first, we have to talk about the most important symbol in this whole vision, that incense. This isn't just about a nice smell filling a room. No, this fragrance represents a sacrifice. And getting a handle on that is the first step to unpacking this entire scene. So what exactly is this incense smoke? Well, it symbolizes the perfect, obedient sacrifice of Jesus. In the language of the Bible, his offering on the cross was described as a sweet-smelling aroma to God the Father. It's a fragrance that basically screams complete and total acceptance. And, this idea isn't new to Revelation. It has deep roots. Decades before John had this vision, the Apostle Paul wrote to the church in Ephesus that Christ's sacrifice was a sweet-smelling savor. See? That's the foundational link. The fragrance we see in heaven is the echo of the sacrifice that happened on earth. But look closer at the verse. It's not just the incense smoke rising to God. The smoke of the incense, which is Jesus' perfect work, is mixed with the prayers of the saints. And that is such a powerful image. It means our imperfect prayers are carried upward. They're made acceptable and pleasing to God because they're mingled with the perfect sacrifice of Christ. Even the original Greek language gives us a clue here. The word for smoke, kopnos, isn't just about smoke drifting around. It has this built-in idea of ascending, of rising up. So this isn't just smoke floating aimlessly. It's an offering that is actively and successfully going straight into God's presence. It is being fully and completely received. Now, this vision in heaven, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. To really get what's happening, we have to look back into the Old Testament because we see these powerful foreshadows of this exact moment. The new reality in heaven is built on some very, very old roots. And this is absolutely crucial. Back in the Old Testament, when a sacrifice was accepted, a physical cloud of God's glory would literally fill the earthly temple. But all of those events, they were just a shadow, like a preview. What John is seeing in Revelation is the ultimate reality. It's the true spiritual temple in heaven, and it's not filled with smoke from animal sacrifices, but with the glory from Christ's single, perfect offering. And here's a perfect example of that shadow, right out of the book of Exodus. When the tabernacle was finally finished and the offering was made, a literal cloud, the glory of the Lord, filled the whole space. It was the physical sign that God was pleased. And that right there is the key difference. Those old covenant rituals, they had to be done over and over and over again. But what John sees in Revelation is the heavenly confirmation of a singular, finished event. Jesus' sacrifice was a once-and-for-all offering, and its acceptance fills all of heaven forever. Okay, so a perfect sacrifice has been accepted in heaven. That's a massive theological idea, for sure. But what does it actually mean for us? How does this scene way up in heaven change our reality down here on earth? Well, this is where the vision gets incredibly personal. Everything changes in this one moment. With one sacrifice, by one person, the entire dynamic between heaven and earth is completely rewritten. Everything we're about to talk about hinges on the finality of this single, perfect offering. So, this accepted sacrifice kicks off this incredible chain reaction. First, atonement is complete, the payment for sin is accepted, and because of that, the broken relationship between God and humanity is reconciled, it's mended. And because we're reconciled, that famous veil is torn and we're granted access directly into God's presence. And finally, because we have that access, our very identity is restored. The book of Hebrews totally confirms this new reality. The writer says we can now have boldness to enter God's presence. You know that giant veil of separation that was in the old temple? It's gone. The way is wide open now. This is the fundamental shift in our identity. We go from being separated, kind of standing on the outside looking in, to being welcomed in as sons and daughters. It is a total change from alienation to having unhindered access to the Father. That is what it means for our identity to be restored. All right, so let's bring all this together. What is the final, definitive conclusion from this vision in heaven? It's really simple. It is a declaration of a finished work. Ultimately, this whole vision is just a big declaration from heaven saying, the work is done, the offering for sin is finished, the heavenly temple is filled with glory, God's presence isn't shut away anymore, and the way to Him is now permanently open, all because of that one sacrifice. You see, unlike the high priests in the Old Testament who had to go into the holy place year after year with the blood of animals, Jesus, our great high priest, entered the real heavenly temple just once. And He didn't do it with the blood of something else. He did it with His own. And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. Because right after this scene of perfect acceptance, the very next verse shows the angel taking fire from that same altar and throwing it down to the earth, which unleashes judgment. So the question is this: if atonement brings peace with God, why does it also result in fire for the world?